It's Hump Day, ladies and gentlemen, the day where I feature your hot takes and my reactions to them. And in today's video, we've got some takes that are pretty hot, so I hope you guys are ready for this one. For those that are new to the channel, every Wednesday I do Bulls hot takes that are left from my subscribers or other fans around the league. So if you have a hot take and you want it to be featured in next week's video, feel free to drop it here and I just might include it. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Guys, before I get into the video, I did want to say one thing. Please be respectful in the comments. I'm all for sports banter, but the second you make it personal with myself or others, that crosses the line. No place for that on this channel. You can disagree with me or other people in the comments. That's totally fine. At the end of the day, this is sports talk. Most of what's being shared is generally opinion-based. Sports should be used as a way to get away from the stresses of everyday life. So please be respectful towards each other. That's all that I ask. Anyway, let's get into the first hot take, and this comes to us from Beto N2137. Let's make my first take hot. Yes, let's do that, Beto. Bulls will sign Lonzo Ball in the upcoming offseason, and the front office will trade for Myles Turner in exchange for Pacers. They would get Otto Porter and Felicio plus pick. This will make the Bulls top 7 defense next season. So let me address the Myles Turner part, because initially you said the Bulls would sign Lonzo in the offseason and then the front office will trade for Myles Turner for Otto and Felicio. Now, if you're saying this as an off-season transaction, well, that won't work because Otto and Felicio are off the books and they'll be free agents by then, so they wouldn't even be able to be available for a trade. But if you're saying they make this trade before the deadline next month, I mean, I would love to add Myles Turner. I don't think he would make them a top 7 defense next season, just him alone. Although the Bulls have improved their defensive efficiency greatly in the past couple weeks. But even with all of that, I don't see how the Pacers would say yes to this. First of all, Felicio is just a throw-in, so there's no value in exchange there. Otto is an expiring contract, so in a way, if they were wanting to just try to get off, Myles Turner off of their books and create some salary cap space in the offseason, sure, but even then, it doesn't really make sense for them. The pick, I guess a lot of it depends on what type of pick we're talking about. Is it the Bulls' first rounder for this upcoming draft? Is it lottery protected? Is it not? Either way, I don't think this is an attractive enough offer for the Pacers for them to be able to give up Myles Turner, who's the best shot blocker in the league. As far as signing Lonzo Ball, so I do have to say something about Lonzo, because if you've been watching my channel for a while, you've noticed I am not a Lonzo Ball fan at all. I personally think he's overrated. I think some team is likely going to offer him a lot of money, more than he's worth, and I don't want that team to be the Bulls. Even though, yes, he's a playmaker, something the Bulls need. However, after seeing a lot of your comments and saying to me, hey, look, part of the reason Lonzo is struggling this season is because he doesn't fit Stan Van Gundy's system, and they aren't utilizing him properly to his strengths. A guy like Lonzo would thrive in a system like Billy Donovan's, which thrives on ball and player movement. So I thought about it a bit more, and okay, that's fair. Maybe I'm not giving Lonzo the benefit of the doubt that he's simply in a bad situation in New Orleans, and maybe coming to a team that will use his strengths properly, he will be more successful. So I would still prefer the Bulls not sign Lonzo when he becomes a restricted free agent, or even trade for him before the deadline, because I think he will likely command too much money as a free agent. But I'm keeping my mind open to it than before. But still, as for your take, I would prefer we didn't sign Lonzo unless it's for a reasonable amount of money. I would say no more than $15 million a year, hopefully less than that actually. Next up, we have, you probably can't even see that, or at least I can't anyway, but the name is Drake Connor. Bulls could actually win the Central Division easily. Easily. The Milwaukee Bucks are in the Central Division, right? I know they've been struggling a little bit recently, but they still have the 2-time reigning MVP in Giannis. They have Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. Not only that, but the Indiana Pacers are a good team too. I know we just recently beat them, which was a great win for us, but they're still a good team. The Bulls will finish above the Pistons and the Cavs, I don't doubt that, but to say they could easily win the Central Division, I think that's a bit of a stretch to say the least. Hopefully in the next couple of seasons they might get there, but not this year. Next up, we have Hadi Hamed. This one is a little long, but it's a super hot take here. Lavine is a better player than LeBron James. Here why. LeBron was not able to make the playoffs without Anthony Davis, and with an okay team that is arguably better than the Bulls. They had Ingram and Ball last year, or that season anyway. And we are currently seeing Lavine has been able to carry a team alone, basically. I believe that LeBron, aka LeBrick, is truly overhyped, and the NBA just wants to create a narrative for him. Okay, so my thoughts here. I'll start with this. First of all, I know we're all excited Lavine was just selected as an All-Star. He 100% deserved it based on his play this season and has been incredible in carrying the Bulls team. But better than LeBron James? LeBron James, the 4-time champion, LeBron James, the 4-time Finals MVP and regular season MVP, the 16-time All-Star, 16-time All-NBA player, Lavine is better than that guy? That's not a narrative the league is trying to create for him. He's earned those accolades, and I know a lot of Bulls fans really hate LeBron. I myself, I'm not even a LeBron fan. I think he's, he whines a lot, he flops a lot, gets way more calls than he deserves, but I can also respect the fact that he's an all-time great player, arguably the second best player to ever play the game of basketball. What he's doing at his age, with the amount of years in the league, still being a top 3 player in the league, is incredible to me. Now, as far as your comments, LeBron couldn't make the playoffs without Anthony Davis. Well, first off, LeBron got injured his first season in LA. I believe he missed about like a fourth of the season. The only time that's LeBron has really ever missed a considerable amount of time on the court in his whole career. So obviously that impacted their ability to make the playoffs. Second, Ingram hadn't arrived yet as a player. There were people saying he was a bust based on how he had been performing his first couple seasons in the league with the Lakers, so he was still developing and hadn't become the player he is now. And finally, as good as Lavine has been in carrying this Bulls team, and yes, the Bulls are in playoff contention, but it's not like we've made the playoffs just yet. And the fact of the matter is Lavine is in his 6th season in the league, now this is his 7th year, that he's never been to the playoffs. Obviously he's continuing to get better, and he will make the playoffs at some point in his career. Hopefully that ends up being this season, but I think we all need to slow our roll a bit, and that Lavine still has a lot of work to do. The job isn't done now that he's been named an All-Star. Now it's time to start winning and making runs in the playoffs and leading his team to hopefully down the line a championship. But to say he's better than LeBron James at this point, come on now. I mean, Lavine is younger, probably more athletic and quicker than LeBron at this stage in his career because LeBron is 36 years old. Lavine is a better shooter, but outside of that, overall, LeBron? No. Lavine, he still has a lot to get done to get onto LeBron's level for everything LeBron has been able to achieve. Keep in mind, LeBron left the Cavs, a title contending team at the time when he was there. They instantly become one of the worst teams in the league. He goes to the Heat, comes back to Cleveland. They go from being one of the worst teams to a contending team again and going to 3 straight finals, winning 1 of them. He then goes to the Lakers, who were the doormat of the West at the time, and wins a title there as well. He's been to 9 of the last 10 NBA finals. Yeah, so just no. Okay, next up, and this one is more reasonable. This one is from Bailey Poll. Zach LaVine is better than Bradley Beal. This one I can get behind because as good as Beal is and has been this season, his team isn't good. He hasn't won anything. I believe the deepest run in the playoffs Beal has made was the 2nd round, and even then, John Wall was running the team. So yes, there is an argument that can be made for that because clearly LaVine has been better able to lead his team, at least this season, without any stars next to him, because I still consider Westbrook to be a star, even though he's fallen off. LaVine has been much more efficient in terms of his shooting from the field, and especially from 3. Beal is only shooting 33% from free, whereas LaVine is shooting 43%. LaVine is averaging more rebounds and assists than Beal, so he's doing more on the court outside of just scoring. And you can argue that LaVine has been a better defender. Neither player is really that great on defense, but LaVine has shown to be a better on-ball defender. By advanced metrics, Beal does come out a little bit ahead. He has a higher overall player efficiency rating. He's higher in metrics like box plus minus. Beal is probably a more prolific scorer than LaVine is, averaging over 32 points per game versus Zach's 28, which I know, some of you will say, well, that's only 4 points per game, but that's actually a pretty significant amount when you factor in averages that are more than 25 games. But that's also because Beal is taking way more shots than LaVine. They rely on his scoring much more than the Bulls do with LaVine, and again, why LaVine has been more efficient in terms of his true shooting percentage and offensive ratings. If you had made this claim last season, I would have said no, and that Beal was the better player between the two. But honestly, this year, especially with how LaVine has been shifting his game recently, Yeah, I'd have to agree. Lavine is a better player between the two. That's why I never really understood when Bulls fans were saying we should be trading for Bradley Beal. Well, why? Him and Lavine are very similar players, are pretty comparable in terms of their efficiency and what they bring to their teams. We already have Lavine, who is younger. I just don't see why we would need Beal, especially since, you know, we would have to trade a lot to get him, and I don't think Lavine and Beal together would really go well. Or, you know, if we're saying that we need to trade Lavine to get Beal, no, it's not worth it at all in my opinion. Let's do one more. This one is from Antoine. The Bulls have 2 more All-Stars, future All-Stars that is, currently on the roster other than Lavine, between the Paw, Lowry, Coby, and Wendell. I can potentially see this. I definitely think Patrick Williams has all-star potential in his future, given what we've seen from him in just the short time, you know, in his career, especially on the defensive end for being the youngest player in the whole league at 19. So I do agree that Williams will likely be an all-star in the future if he continues to develop his game and develops into a full-blown two-way player. The other 3, you know, a bit more questionable as to whether they will have all-star selections in their future. I would say between those 3, Lauri Markkanen is the most likely. The issue with Lowry is staying healthy. You know, when he was healthy this season, he was looking great, playing significantly better under Donovan than he was with Boylen, shooting at a very efficient rate, was actually playing sound defense. Like I said, the thing about Lowry that's going to prevent him from becoming an all-star is his health. I mean, you got to stay healthy and on the court if you want to be an all-star. So far, we just haven't seen that from him in really any of these seasons, and this is his 4th year in the league. But if he can continue to develop and add more areas of his game than just his shooting, so improving his post game, better rebounding, better defense, then yeah, he could be an all-star for sure. Coby and Wendell, I would say those are more unlikely. I'm not saying it can't happen, and I think both will be fine players and they will develop further, but I don't see all-star appearances in their future as much as I can say that about Patrick Williams or Lauri Markkanen. Anyway, I'll end it there for now, guys. Apologies if I didn't include your hot take, but I also don't want the video to go on too long. Feel free to leave any hot takes you guys have in the comments, and I'll try to include those next week. The Bulls are taking on the Timberwolves tonight. I will have a live chat for the game as always, but I likely won't have a post-game video tonight, as I do have a family commitment that I need to tend to, so we'll likely have a post-game video out tomorrow morning. Hopefully the Bulls can make it 3 straight wins against a struggling team in the Wolves, who are also coming off a back-to-back. But until then, thanks for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.